Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for joining. We'll get started in just a moment. Okay, great. Thanks for coming, everyone. Welcome to Solarize the Triad's presentation of financing solar. My name is Emily Hurd, and I work for Solar Crowdsource, the company that manages and provides technical assistance for Solarize the Triad, a community-based Solarize campaign in the Triad region of North Carolina. Thanks for coming. I'll give a quick overview of what to expect from our webinar, and then I'll hand it over to Don Moreland to start. So again, thanks for coming. We are recording the event, so everyone will have access to the recording afterwards. Please stay on mute, and if you would like to ask a question, we will have a Q&A at the end. You can also add your questions to the chat, and that will give us an idea of what to expect. This is a webinar that covers financing options through Solarize the Triad for residential, commercial, and nonprofit. So, Don Moreland, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Emily. Hey, everybody. My name is Don Moreland. I work with Emily at Solar Crowdsource, and we serve as the kind of platform and administrators of the Solarize the Triad campaign. And the honor is all of ours to, oh, my computer is slow. Let me go back. To have the opportunity to work with all of these amazing organizations that have come together to try to make solar more affordable and accessible for all residents of the Triad area. And there's also the North Carolina Clean Energy Fund, which you're going to hear from here as well. But I don't need to really go in and name each of these organizations. They all are contributing quite a bit to the campaign and making it a great success so far. And just for those who are not yet acquainted, Solarize the Triad is a community group purchasing program. We try to, if you were to kind of take Angie's, I think it's called Angie's now, but it used to be Angie's List and Groupon, and kind of smash it together for through a rigorous competitive bid process. We got some bids in from various contractors in the North Carolina area, and ultimately we went with Renew Energy Solutions, who you're going to hear from here in a minute, who is really providing the best value in terms of just super high quality equipment, customer service, integrity, and able to do so at a very, very, very competitive price. And in fact, the pricing available through this campaign is some of the lowest pricing for the high quality equipment that we've ever seen. So we're just honored to be able to have the opportunity to work with this community. And these Solarize programs have also taken on another aspect. If you've ever Googled solar or tried to get solar on your own, you might know it's quite a taxing process. It can be. It's hard to know, who a good contractor is, what a good workmanship warranty is, what is a good solar panel or equipment and a good price. And we've done a lot of that work already. And by providing vetted equipment, vetted pricing, vetted contractors, and so forth. But we also work together with Renew to make sure that the information that you get from a free proposal that you get through this program is, contains information that you can rely on. So in order to make a good business decision, there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation out there, and the Solarize programs have become kind of a safe space to get the right information so you can make the right business decision. So quickly, why go solar? Well, you're going to save a lot of money on your electricity bills. The good thing about solar is that it's kind of a set it and leave it technology. It requires little operating and maintenance, and the fuel source for solar is, of course, the sun, and it's free, and it falls on your property every day. So that means that there's not a lot of upkeep. Every time the utility raises their rates, which we've seen a lot lately, your solar system becomes more valuable because you're saving that much more money. You'll see as part of this webinar how the 30% federal tax credit is incorporated into your overall cost. And there's also a great program through Duke called the Power Pair program, where you can get rebates on solar and battery storage up to $9,000 available there. And solar is a clean and renewable source of energy. We used to talk about that at the very beginning, but now the business case and the finance case for solar is so compelling. We talk about that a lot more, but we don't want to lose sight that we're talking about a clean and renewable solution that's right there on your property, cranking out electricity every single day. I have solar on my property. I got an 8.1 kilowatt system, and the sun is shining bright right now. And it's just, it makes me feel good. I'll tell you, to know that I'm generating my own clean, renewable electricity, saving money. And then when I plug my car in to charge it, now I'm saving money on my transportation costs. And I can actually say I'm driving on. I have this little license plate frame that goes around the license plate of my car that says fueled by the power of the sun. So a lot of great benefits with solar. But why solar now? That 30% federal tax credit, it's in place for the rest of this year, and it's supposed to be in place through the end of 2032 through the Inflation Reduction Act. But there are folks, politicians out there who would like to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. So I always tell people, get it while you can, and that way you don't have to worry about whether it's going to be available later on. I mentioned why solar now, because this Duke Power Pair program will not be around forever, and it's really just a one-of-a-kind opportunity to save on the upfront cost of solar and battery storage up to $9,000. Utility rates are going up, but you know what? We're also using more electricity than we ever have before. And it's, frankly, it's getting hotter, and we're using our air conditioners more often and longer into those shoulder months, which, we're using it sooner in the springtime and later in the fall time. So solar helps mitigate the cost on that increased electricity cost and increased electricity usage. This group discount purchase, it will not last forever. This is a limited time campaign, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And I also get a really good feeling of just being that much more energy independent and self-reliant, just in case there are grid um, uh, uh, reliability situations, which we all may have experienced just in the past week or two. So those are your primary reasons why solar now. Kinds of panels available for this program, thanks to the folks at Renew. We've got, I mean, they're both really good panels, but we've got a Q-cell panel that's made in Georgia, so it's a domestic product that represents the top tier pricing. And then we have a CertainTeed panel, also a good panel, but it's a little bit cheaper. And so that represents the pricing on the bottom. Currently, we're in tier 5 pricing. So the way this pricing works is if you were to sign a contract today, I'm looking at the top here. If you were to go with a Q-cell panel, you would pay $2.45 for a full turnkey system, not just the components. This includes obviously installation, permitting, interconnection with the utility, the whole kit and caboodle for $2.45 a watt, which is a great price in and of itself. Our goal is to get to tier 8, which would reduce the price, just by sheer volumetric discounts. The more people we can get involved with this program during the limited period of time, the more volumetric discounts we can get with the equipment and with the installations. And so we've already made a whole lot of progress. We're over halfway to our goal, which is tier 8 pricing at $2.30. And so if you were to sign a contract at $2.45 today, whichever tier pricing we end up in at the end of the campaign, you're going to get a rebate check for the difference. Everybody in this program pays the same price. It's like a built-in referral mechanism, and that's this community-wide aspect of what we're doing. If you tell your friends and family in the Triad area about this program and they go solar, then it can help bring down the cost for everyone. And then with a CertainTeed panel, we're currently at $2.30. And if we get to our goal, which is tier 8, then we can get that down to $2.15 a watt. Really just an incredible price for solar these days, and really good equipment. Commercial pricing this is based on system size. So these are kind of ballpark figures for how much a system might cost if it was in the 20 to 50 kilowatt range. That would be enough to power like a church, perhaps, or a small dentist or veterinarian office, doctor office, or even like a restaurant or something like that. And then we get into the bigger sizes, which, from 50 to 100 kilowatts, you'd be paying around 217 cents per watt. I just want to say that these are ballpark figures. It really takes the Renew Energy Solutions team to go out, do a site visit, and focus in on what the cost of your system. So we highly encourage, if you are interested, if you're a nonprofit or if you're a commercial entity and you want to take a look, then just know that these prices are more informative, and what you could expect something either less or maybe more depending on your site conditions when the Renew team finally gets out there. All right, so this is what I kind of want to leave this impression with you, that we've done a lot of the work already to help make solar more accessible for you, making it more affordable by doing this group discount purchase. And there's also some other things, if you want to get engaged with us, there's some other things that we're doing. We're in the process of developing a low and moderate income component to the program and a workforce development component to the program, where just for those underserved communities that might not have access to solar or have the upfront cost for it, or even qualify for traditional types of financing, then we are figuring out ways to help low and moderate income folks get into solar. And a really special workforce development program is shaping up. There's a couple different phases, but suffice it to say, participants in the workforce development program will come away having their OSHA 10 certification, the job, hands-on training, be able to exit the workforce development program with enough skills to get to work right away. And phase 2 is even more exciting, where additional partners are going to be coming in to enable us to offer what is called NABCEP certifications. I won't get into that right now, but if you're interested in either one of those, please let us know, and we'll get you plugged in. Yes, I meant that intentionally, plugged in. There are deadlines. We've got an enrollment deadline through the end of November. You have to sign up by the end of November through the solarizethetriad.com website in order to qualify for this program and get the group discount pricing and all the bells and whistles that come with it. But we do give you extra time. Even after November 30th, you have a few months, 3 months, to get your ducks in a row, financing approval, HOA approval if needed, historic preservation, district approval if needed, things like that. So we've got a residential contract deadline of February 28th next year, and then a commercial deadline shortly after that on May 31st. And we just give more time because traditionally commercial and nonprofit projects just take longer to get across the finish line there. All right, so that's it. I'll stop sharing, Emily, and
Great.
we'll pass it off. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much. Again, that was Don Moreland from Solar Crowdsource. And next, we'll talk about residential financing options. We'll hear from Chris Berg from Renew Energy Solutions, as well as Neil Parnell from Piedmont Federal Bank and Melissa Malkin-Weber from North Carolina Clean Energy Fund. After residential financing options, we'll cover commercial financing options. And then again, we'll have a Q&A at the end. Feel free to put your questions in the chat now, and we will have plenty of time for that after. So Chris Berg, Renew Energy Solutions, take it away.
Thank you, Emily. Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. I will preface, I have quite a computer issue today. My computer decided to crash and leave me stranded to a cell phone. So I guess as a business professional, it's the same feeling as what a teenager losing their cell phone feels like. That's kind of my world today, but I will keep this digestible at a high level and hand this off to the other individuals as well. Again, as Emily said, I'm Chris Berg, Senior Director of Sales with Renew Energy Solutions. We're thrilled to be a partner in this campaign for Solarize the Triad. It is a great day here for Solarize the Triad and for Renew. I'm in the Triad right now. The first customer who signed up is getting their installation today. So the first install for Solarize the Triad is going on right now. So a great day as well. And excited to talk about some financing options that we have provided through Solarize the Triad campaign. A little bit about Renew. We're a turnkey installer based here in the Carolinas. We've been in business for 15 years. We are vertically integrated throughout the process from turnkey. So we also do all of our own work in-house, which is a quality aspect that we love to provide our customers in the community. So as it relates to financing, we are agnostic in how we approach solar, and financing is a part of that as well. We have a lot of options to present homeowners for residential purchases, and I want to talk about a couple of those different avenues today, and then you're going to hear from Neil as well and the rest of the team and Clean Energy Fund on some other creative options that have come through this campaign. But solar really flows into purchasing, and I would say at 3 methods right now. That there's one very direct that you can pay for this thing up front, and you can have a cash purchase and pay for it in milestone payments initially, and when we get your permit, and when we install your system, and when we get your system operational. That's very straightforward. I would say the second most common right now is actually same as cash options. It's become very popular. We have a variety of options that allow for customers to pay for their system over a 12, 18, 24, or 36-month timeline at 0% interest, which is very attractive for individuals who are wanting to pay for this quickly. There are some differences in those terms from 12 to 18, 24, 36 months. Some of them have no payments required, minimum payments per month. Some of them do have a small minimum payment per month. All of them offer 0% interest during the term that a customer may choose, which is extremely attractive. And we cover that with a customer during their consultation at their home, which is complimentary through Solarize the Triad. The most popular, the thing that most homeowners do in the Carolinas and across the country for solar, what I did when I put solar on my house, is a solar financing or a solar loan. And so you have big banks have created these smaller branches that focus on home improvement loans or solar specific financing loans. There's a lot of good benefits to them, and I'll run through those really quick. One is there's no upfront cost with that. You do not have to put any money down. You do not have to pay anything when you sign a contract with Renew to get this started. The funding through your financing all starts, and your payments start after we get the system installed for traditional solar loans, which is a great thing. That means you don't have to come out of pocket. The adage we would use in the industry is you get to now swap your bills. What I'm paying to Duke Energy, when I get my solar installed, I start spending that money per month to pay for my solar loan and pay off my equipment. So one great thing is it doesn't cost any money down to get started on a solar loan. Our traditional term that we run into with customers is a 25-year term. There are no prepayment penalties on these simple interest notes. So you can request a payoff at any time and just pay remaining principal with no penalty or no fee and interest, which is a great thing. And the average interest rate that we offer for customers right now is around 6.99%. We obviously would check that at the consultation with you in your home. But the standard term is a 25-year 6.99. We have some really good partnerships with these banks that allow us to offer that at a very minimal fee. So typically, if you wanted to go finance and have a very low interest rate or something like that, you have to pay down that note, or you have to raise your principal amount of purchase significantly just to offer an aggressive rate. We have something that's around prime that costs very little for you as it relates to the total purchase cost. So a cash price, if you were to buy this upfront, is very similar to what a financing price would be with us. And that's the same for Solarize the Triads campaign. We offered a very aggressive rate. As Don was showing what the price per watt is for our panel options, to finance that, it is a very, very close price to that. It's a very small upcharge of 15 cents per watt to finance. So it's very aggressive. A little bit about how the solar loan works, because that's always a question. It is not like a normal loan in the structure of it, and I want to explain that. The reason behind that is there's this nice 30% federal tax credit that's out there to help you purchase solar. You have to check with your accountant on that. We are not CPAs by trade, and we would always advise you to talk to an accountant about your specific tax situation for the tax liability. But back to the solar loan, they structure it so that when you sign up, you don't pay any money down. Your payments start after installation. And for a 16 to 18 month period, those monthly payments are the same. They give you an upfront monthly rate that is assuming your ability to claim that 30% tax credit and use it to help pay for your system. Now, I will be very upfront. You don't have to use your federal tax credit money to buy down your solar loan. You can use that for whatever you want, but the loan is structured to allow you to get that support. And they give you a little over a year to a year and a half from when the payments start to claim that, because you might sign up now and might not be able to get the solar tax credit until 2025. If you sign up next year, you definitely won't be getting the tax credit until you file for 2025. So depending on that, they give you this year and a half of fixed payments on the structure. Let's say that's $100 a month. If at the end of that term, the end of the 16 to 18 months, you put the federal tax credit back towards your finance purchase, or you get it from the government and pay it towards your financing note, your payments stay at the same rate they were for the first 16 to 18 months. So if it was $100, it stays at $100. Again, you don't have to put your solar tax credit towards your note. That's voluntary payment. I would say most customers do that. I did that with my note as well. That's the primary reason for the tax credit, but it is voluntary. That is up to you. When we're in your home and we're checking the solar rates and the monthly options, I do like to be upfront about the fact that there is no effect on anyone's credit to be able to apply for a solar loan. It is all soft pull for credit applications to check your rates and your availability. So you can do that as frequently or through the different options that we have with no penalty or no hard hit on your credit. That's not how the loans are structured. They're set up so that you can check your availability and not have any negative effect on any type of credit reporting. Again, no money down for this. There's no payments to pay it off early, even though it's a long-term loan. Average customers pay it off in about 7 years is what the banks tell us. And you have that availability, again, at no penalty. So there's a lot more that can get into that because it is specific home by home. So as Don mentioned, I would recommend, if you haven't already, apply through solarizethetriad.com. We will send out a specialist to your house. They will go over your specific details with you for how a solar loan, a same as cash, or other options that you're going to hear about today could work for you. Our job is to give you as many options as possible so that you can make the best decision for you and your family. But there are a lot out there for you, and it's our pleasure to come and provide those to you. Emily, that is a high overview of solar financing for residential customers. We'll hand it off to our other partners to talk about some more options that you have.
Great. Thank you, Chris. All right. Next up, Neil Parnell of Piedmont Federal Bank.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Don. I am Neil Parnell, with Chief Retail Banking Officer with Piedmont Federal Bank, headquartered here in Winston-Salem. Again, wanted to thank you for the opportunity. That Piedmont Federal is very appreciative to be able to provide these traditional home mortgage products for financing solar panel options. We are a mutual community bank, and for those of you that are not familiar with a mutual, Piedmont Federal is 121 years old, owned by our depositors. And what that means is we don't have shareholders. We are owned by our communities and the folks that have the deposits in those communities. So this is a prime example of us being able to better serve our communities and give back. And what I'm going to talk primarily today from a retail standpoint is home equity, or our home equity lines of credit. And what those are, they're a general line of credit. They're collateralized by the equity in your home. We offer loan amounts up to $250,000. I know when we were talking about this earlier in the last week, most of the solar options that we're talking about, it's usually around 25,000 is what I believe I heard. And this would be a prime program and product that could assist with this. They are interest-only payments for 10 years, and if there is a balance at the 10-year mark, we amortize it, which means we equal out those payments for the remaining 5 years. The interest rate on it is the Wall Street Journal prime rate, so it can go up, it can go down. Currently, those rates are at 8%. So there is some opportunities for that to be cheaper. Just a kind of a quick example, if you were to borrow $25,000 at 8% today, that interest-only payment would be about $167 a month. So that would be an economical option to help facilitate this. As far as the minimal closing costs, Piedmont Federal would pay all of those closing costs up to $500. I would tell you that covers, in almost every situation, that covers the closing costs to put a home equity line in place. And we would be happy to answer any questions around that. We have 11 locations and 7 in Forsyth County and 1 in Greensboro. So be happy to answer any questions. And you could also go to piedmontfederal.bank to get more information around our home equity lines of credit. So be happy to answer any questions. But Emily, I'm gonna pass that back to you.
All right, great. Yeah, feel free to also put your questions in the chat, and we can cover them at the end during the Q&A. Next up is Melissa Malkin-Weber with North Carolina Clean Energy Fund.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here today. Are you able to see slides? Fantastic. And it sounds like you're able to hear me clearly. I'll give you a short run through. Really happy to be in the company of so many excellent options for financing, and also in the company of folks who are so focused on extending clean energy in an equitable way across the community. We are a nonprofit. We were founded in order to fill gaps in the current marketplace for clean energy financing. And one of those gaps is to extend consumer solar options in ways to households and nonprofits and small businesses and small commercial that fill in often people with lower credit scores or folks who don't have easy access to good credit now. So where'd that come from? We are partnered with the Solar and Energy Loan Fund, another nonprofit financial institution, to offer the loan product that I'll tell you about for the Solarize Triad. And you can see here that our back-end partner, Solar and Energy Loan Fund, is also very focused on making accessible to households that aren't inundated with offers for financing for home improvements and clean energy. So the financing product that we are offering has some requirements. This is I think the baseline that we start from is we want to offer a solid loan that's good for the homeowner, good for the household, so that we're not getting them into a bind. So the person who's taking on the loan has to be the homeowner. We're working primarily in North Carolina and extending to some counties in South Carolina. Some other things that to pay attention to is got to be current on property taxes, got to be current on mortgage payments. We do need to see proof of income, and there needs to be enough money in the budget that the household can afford to make these payments. So again, wanting to make sure that we're not extending credit in a way that backs a household into a corner and gets them into a bad position. The advantages to our product, these are the product that Renew told you about. Those products are terrific. They're well established. They're very good, particular for people with very good credit. They have catchy rates. They can be really terrific. What we focus on is a product that is, what we're emphasizing in our product is transparency and and predictability. So the talking points for our loan: obviously lower utility bills when you go with solar, potentially lower insurance bills, clearly improved quality of life, like Don was talking about, home investments. We don't have a minimum credit score, and we don't require that the household have equity in their home. And we can do loans up to $50,000. And contractors tend to like this, offering this financing because it offers no dealer fees and gets them, provides them with a tool to serve folks that they might otherwise not be able to serve. Different cut on the same set of themes. So our underwriting is based on ability to pay, even for folks with low credit scores. There are no late fee gotchas. Sometimes I talk to borrowers who really want to go through in detail, what are the fees? What are the penalties? What are the things I'm going to wish I had known? And I'm really happy to be able to say, unlike the past experience that you're telling me about, the late fee is just a flat fee for a late fee. We're not going to increase the interest rate to some unreasonable amount. It's just a standard late fee. There's a transparent fixed interest rate. Currently, that's the base interest rate is 6.5%. And then there's transparent origination fees. Those are currently 4.99%. There's no sneaky dealer fees. There's no prepayment penalties. So when you either, if you're getting a power pair rebate from the utility, or when you get your tax credit from the federal government, you send it in, you alert the payment processors that you're wanting to reamortize your loan. They'll pay down the loan and adjust your monthly payments accordingly. Now, we currently are doing 15-year maximum loan payments, which maximum loan term. So the loan payments are covered. So you're paying down the loan in 15 years, which gives you as a household an overall lower cost of financing compared to stretching it out over 25 years. Here's our contact information. I'm Melissa Malkin-Weber. My contact is at the top. Michelle Myers is our primary loan officer, and she's coming down from Asheville and expected to be back online next week sometime. So she's your primary contact. And the reason that I don't sound perhaps as smooth and fluid in explaining all this to you is that I'm subbing in for Michelle on short notice. So appreciate everybody's grace in covering that. And I hope if you have questions, that you'll drop them in the chat or give us a call.
Thank you, Melissa. And just to take a moment, I'd like to recognize that many of us are feeling the effects of the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. And the Solar Crowdsource team, as well as Renew Energy Solutions, have a lot of team members stationed in Nashville. So just wanted to recognize that we're here, we're talking about clean energy solutions, and we're dealing with a lot of devastation. So thank you for being here. We'd like to also talk about commercial options. I do recognize a couple of names amongst you that have commercial or nonprofit interest in Solarize the Triad. So we hope to make sure we're answering questions about your specific situations. And again, feel free to put your questions in the chat. For commercial, we'd like to have Matthew Cully of Renew Energy Solutions, followed by Neil Parnell of Piedmont Federal Bank. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. I appreciate it. Afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen and jump in. All right, can you guys see this? Cool. All right, yeah, so like Emily said, just wanted to take a couple of minutes and talk through what our process looks like on the commercial side, working with a business or nonprofit on a solar project, and kind of developing a plan for, how the nuts and bolts of how the project's going to come together. And so, so kind of on the front end, we do what you would expect. We put together a Aurora or helioscope model of the building, do it in 3D and figure out what size makes sense based off of the roof space that's available, based off of the consumption of the facility, and based off of the budget that the business or nonprofit has available for a project. And so that's the first step, right? And then we'll also talk about the different options for actually paying for the system. And so we'll talk about what a cash purchase looks like, and we'll review some of the loan options that we offer through some of our lenders. And really, it's going to be asking a lot of questions to understand what your goals for the investment are. right? Because different businesses have different reasons for investing in solar when it comes to the financial side. Some are interested in just paying cash, and it's as simple as that. Others are interested in looking at solar as an equity creating transaction, right? And using a loan product and realizing the tax credits and depreciation to be able to create equity up front. Some are looking for being as close to cash flow neutral as possible, right? And matching the term to the payback. There's a variety of different things that you might be looking for. So we're going to look at all the different products that we offer to figure out what lines up the best with what you're looking to accomplish. And then we'll decide on a couple of options to pull into the full financial analysis that we run. And that's going to be step 3. So we have a software program where we're taking your current consumption, the production for the PV system, and then, right, what loan product or offering you're interested in, and pulling that into a full financial proposal. And this is kind of all automated through that platform, and it'll pump out a proposal that gives you a lot of detail on what the investment is going to look like. So it'll estimate the monthly payment, it'll estimate the overall total payments for the system, and it'll give you some financial metrics so you can understand what the net present value is, what the return on investment is, your overall electric bill savings, kind of all the numbers that are involved in the decision-making process. It'll also give you a annual cash flow, a 30-year cash flow, so you can see, right, how everything lines up as far as the loan payments, the expected electric bill savings, the expected state and federal tax effect. So realizing those tax credits and depreciation, and then your total cash flow, and then your cumulative cash flow. And so, right, this is just super helpful, really practical for business owners and nonprofits who cash flow is super important, being able to understand how an investment in solar is going to impact your monthly and annual cash flows. So putting together that preliminary proposal is kind of the first few steps. Once we review that, if that's of interest, if the loan product that we've looked at is of interest, we'll go ahead and get a formal kind of proposal from the lender just to verify that the estimated loan payments that we did on the ETB platform are correct. And we'll provide that to the business owner, and then kind of the final step in the process is if the project makes sense and we decide we want to move forward with it, we'll go through the final step, which is the loan application process, which the lender is going to be looking for a lot of technical information from us, from Renew, about the proposed project, right? What the system size is, what products we're using, what the expected annual production of the system is, things like that. And then they're also going to be looking for a lot of financial information about your business or nonprofit organization. And so, like I said, that's the final step, right? Once you receive approval and have the loan set up, we can go ahead and start executing the project. And we're off to the races from there. But I'll stop there and I'll turn it back to Emily unless there's any questions we want to address real quick.
All right, great. And now we'll hear from Neil Parnell with Piedmont Federal Bank.
Thank you, Emily. From a commercial standpoint, Piedmont again would be more than happy to consider a commercial loan request on solar energy. And what we would essentially collateralize would either be the real estate or put a UCC or Uniform Commercial Code lien against the solar equipment. And as Matthew kind of laid out earlier, being able to collateralize the equipment itself, we are able to look at flexible payment options over a variety of different amortized payments, and we'd be happy to to consider those requests and look at it in more detail. Emily, I'm gonna pass that back to you.
All right, great. We'd also like to ask Melissa Malkin-Weber to talk briefly about commercial as well.
Thank you, Emily. We're in process of developing a loan product for nonprofits that allows them to take advantage of the refundable tax credit that for clean energy that is now available under the Inflation Reduction Act. So we're in early stages of finding nonprofits who are wanting to pursue projects like this. Maybe they've gotten to the stage of going, yeah, we want to do it. We've got it past our finance committee. And now we're trying to figure out how to put the money together. We would love to talk to you about that. And then in the next couple of months, we should have a more defined product that we can just simply share a term sheet and more specifics about. So would love to hear from anybody who's working on that.
Great. So I believe we're at the part of the webinar where it's your opportunity to unmute and ask specific questions about your own situations or interest in financing solar. We usually get a lot of really detailed questions that cover some of the technical aspects of either residential or commercial or nonprofit, and consider this office hours. So please do feel free to use this time to ask any questions that you'd like clarification on.
Looks like Matthew has his hand up. Matthew, what's your question?
Yeah, thanks. It's actually a couple of questions, if that's okay. I can't remember if it was Chris or possibly Neil who I think, if I didn't misunderstand, I think it must have been Chris saying that there was typically a 25-year loan period that you're seeing, but people paying off their loan by year 7 or something like that. Did I hear that right? And if so, is that because people are experiencing a better cash flow than projected, or what's going on there?
Yeah, I would assume that that's the case. The lenders obviously give us that feedback on it. The 25-year option is not the only one. It just gives you the lowest monthly payment that you could have. We do have 10, 12, 15, 20 year, and then the 25-year option. But like our primary, one of our primary lenders is Dividend Bank. They're part of Fifth Third Bank. The feedback from them is people pay it off in 7 years. Some of that is redoing a HELOC on the home and just wanting to consolidate their solar loan out at that point. Could be cash positive flow that it's time to just pay off the loan and be 100% vested in your solar energy at that point. There's a variety of options and reasons.
And then I guess the other question I had was more for Matthew. I couldn't really read the details on some of the graphics that you showed us, but are you seeing in commercial settings, are you seeing positive cash flow or I guess difficult question because you're talking about financing, not outright purchase, but are you seeing people basically getting more value out of their systems in a commercial setting than or is it, I guess I should say, is it similar to what you see in a residential setting? That's my real question in terms of cash flow and net positive or net current value.
Yeah, it's a great question. And there are kind of a couple questions in there. It is a little bit different in that there are a couple of additional tax incentives for businesses or nonprofits. There's the base 30% tax credit. And then there are, and that's either a tax credit or a direct pay option for nonprofits. And then there are 10% adders for low income projects, energy community projects, and domestic content projects. So there's the ability to stack up, 40, 50%. And then the other tax incentive for businesses is maker's depreciation. So solar equipment is eligible to be deducted and there's federal depreciation. And then there's also typically North Carolina state depreciation, which is a smaller value. So a little bit different from residential and those additional tax incentives. And then as far as the loan products go, this option that you're talking about, if you could see my screen, it did happen to be, I'm trying to get out of this so I can zoom into it. It did happen to be a cash flow positive project. And the reason for that is this is a South Carolina project. So right off the bat, it's different from North Carolina. South Carolina has a little bit different tax credit at the state level. But then also it qualified for a 10% energy community adder. And then it also qualified for the USDA REAP grant, which is a incentive through the USDA that provides a grant for up to 50% of a solar project cost. And so all those things combined with a loan that had a 10-year term meant that it was actually cash flow positive from day one. I would say that is pretty uncommon. I would not expect that. Most commercial projects we look at do not look this good. And they can kind of run the gamut. There's a pretty wide variety of outcomes. So did that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. If I'm not hogging the mic here too much, I was also interested a little bit in the specific case of congregations because we've got a bunch of churches and synagogues in the area who are possibly interested, and if how they're doing in terms of cash flow, especially I guess contrasting those that might have a school or preschool and those that don't. And those that don't, I assume, are probably having to sell more of their power back to the utility.
Yeah, it's a great question. And the same answer I gave it as just a second ago, but it can really widely vary because of what you hit on at the end there, which is the energy use profile can vary, right? If it's a facility that's primarily used on the weekends, and the rate schedule with Duke or whoever it is forced to be a time of use rate schedule. It could look attractive. It could look unattractive. Kind of the first step that we go through with a nonprofit organization or a business is collecting their billing information so that we can run an analysis to see what it's going to look like. And then we do have a lot of the great thing with the Inflation Reduction Act a couple of years ago is it did introduce the direct pay option for nonprofits. So nonprofits considering a solar project, it's as good as it's ever looked with those tax incentives available. So we do have a lot of interest in the nonprofit space for sure.
Do we have any other questions out there? Got a little bit more time devoted to this topic. We'd like to thank you. Thank you to all attending and for contributing to this discussion of financing solar options for residential, commercial, and nonprofit through Solarize the Triad. Have a great day, and we'll be sending out information afterwards with follow-up information. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.